guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Kim, aka Geekerella, and I make geeky videos here on this channel. And today I have a very exciting video for you because it is Halloween related. And if you don't know me very well, Halloween is my life. There's literally one sole purpose of me being born on this planet, and that is to spread the cult of Halloween. Did I say cult? I meant joy. It screams of joy for Halloween. That is not a cult. No cults here. I'd like to share a spooky list of comics today with you guys in preparation of Halloween. So if you have not heard of any of these comics and you are obsessed with horror and everything supernatural and creepy stuff, then these comics are for you. So this list was very, very hard to make because I have so many favorite creepy comics. So I have rounded it down today to 7 comics. It was supposed to be 5, but there were 2 that I just could not let go of. So today I'm going to talk about 7 comics that I recommend for Halloween this year. The first book that I want to recommend to you guys today is Night of the Living Deadpool. This is one of my favorite Deadpool comics out of any Deadpool comic that I've ever read. Absolutely, this series is amazing. So this book is written by one of my all-time favorite horror writers, Cullen Bunn. The story begins in true weird Deadpool fashion, who has woken up from a massive food coma, and it is literally the zombie apocalypse. This story is so much fun. There's gore, there's action, you've got your Deadpool humor, and a few pretty good twists thrown in there as well. So Night of the Living Deadpool was a 4-issue miniseries, so you can always pick up these single issues at a comic book store, or you can buy the trade paperback and read it all at once. The second book that I want to recommend for you guys today is also written by Cullen Bunn, and it's a little bit of a newer comic called The Unsound, and this one's by Boom Studios. So The Unsound is quite a creepy story. It revolves around this main girl who is a nurse and starts working at this very creepy mental asylum. This asylum isn't your run-of-the-mill, typical crazy asylum. Yes, I mean asylums are supposed to be a little weird, but this one's got a little bit of a, there's a little bit more going on there. The characters are super creepy. The art just makes you feel on edge. So it's a really good combination of great story, great characters, and a really creepy vibe when you're reading it. So the third book I want to recommend is Plastic. If you've read this, you know. Plastic is about a reformed serial killer who has fallen in love with a plastic sex doll called Virginia. And this very bad criminal gang steal Virginia and force Ed, who is the main character, the serial killer, to go on this massive revenge journey to try and get her back. It's a very seriously weird comic, but in the end you really end up rooting for the main character and you just want him to succeed. He's going through all of these bad guys and mutilating them. There's a lot of gore, there's a lot of humor. It's a very interesting concept. So I do recommend this if you want to read a little bit of a weird story that has a lot of gore. Absolutely love this book. It's definitely one that I wasn't expecting to like so much, but it is great. And they have just finished the series, so you can pick it up in a trade paperback and read the whole thing through. The fourth book I want to recommend to you guys is Wytches by Snyder. This has a very, very creepy feel, and the art is absolutely fantastic. And it's got a very, very creepy Blair Witch kind of premise that kind of gets you into that horror mode. The story revolves around witches, but these witches aren't witches that you really perceive in pop culture. They're much darker, they're much creepier. We don't really know a lot about them. So this book revolves around this family that have survived this very traumatic event. They move back into town and there are some very creepy woods nearby where people are going missing. So it's got that very, very creepy Blair Witch, as I said, aspect to it. And the artwork it's very detailed. It's sort of watercolored and dark. And it really feels like you're part of the woods. It's like every single piece of the artwork is like a forest and we're living within the story. It's actually very, very artistic and very well done. So I do recommend picking up the first volume of this because Snyder is a great writer and this book is definitely up there with one of the best horror comics. Number 5 on this list is Spirit Hunters, and this is a book that's relatively new. The series hasn't finished yet. I think we're up to about issue 10 out of 12. So there will be a trade paperback volume released very soon, I would imagine. But there is This is a 12-issue series, and this is by Zenoscope. There's a group of paranormal investigators, and one of them is a medium, the main character here, and she can kind of see ghosts and go into the spirit world and figure out what some of the ghosts' unfinished business are and solve a lot of the cases that these paranormal investigators are being called to. So the vibe of this, I would say, is very Criminal Minds. It's definitely got a Law and Order aspect to it, and every single issue is a different story, but it still has the same team, but they're going to different areas of the country. They're like flying out to certain places. There are a lot of stories that are quite freaky, so I do recommend reading this because it's almost like you're having an omnibus of stories all together in one. Book number 6 on this list is something that I picked up actually very recently because I've heard that it's one of the top horror comics, and that is Locke Key, and this is volume 1. I'd say I'm about halfway through this book, and it is fantastic. It's got very good art, a very good story, very, very creepy vibe to it. It almost kind of feels like you're reading a horror movie. So definitely a lot of fun. I don't really want to spoil it, but the family has a terrible accident at the beginning of the comic, and that, like, it happens right off the bat, so it really kind of pushes you into an emotional and traumatic experience reading the book, but it really kind of jumps into the story straight away. Very fast paced, and this family ends up moving to this haunted house that belongs within their family, and they're kind of figuring out different aspects of the house. Like, the youngest is one that's explored it the most, and he's figuring out a lot about, you know, the different secrets of this house and all the mysteries, and there's something very foreboding about this place. I would definitely suggest picking up the first book. As you can see, the first volume is called Welcome to Lovecraft, so if you are a big fan of Lovecraft, it's definitely got that kind of vibe. Highly recommend. I'm loving this so far, and I'm only halfway through. The last book I want to recommend to you guys for this Halloween list is Judge Dredd, Cry of the Werewolf. This is one of my favorite Judge Dredd stories. It's very supernatural, as you can see. It revolves around werewolves. That's right, werewolves have been let loose in Mega City 1, and Dredd has to make sure that the virus does not spread. So this comic revolves around him and the judges hunting these werewolves, and eventually he has to go to the creepy Undercity, and I won't spoil anything about the ending or why or what's happening because you have to read this book. It is so much fun, and it involves werewolves, so it's like a bonus in a Dredd comic. So those are all the comics that I wanted to suggest for Halloween, the creepy, spooky horror comics. I wanted to do ones that were a little different and a little bit more modern, so I hope you guys enjoyed my list. Highly suggest picking up any or all of those books because they are a fantastic read and really have that creepy vibe down packed. If you enjoyed this video, guys, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. I really love doing these recommendation videos, so I'm hoping to do more in the future. If there are any lists that you guys want me to focus on, then let me know in the comments below. And please follow me on all my social media. I have Twitter, I have Instagram, I have Goodreads. All of those links are in the description below. I hope you guys have an amazing Halloween. Make sure you go out and celebrate it. I don't care what you do, just acknowledge that it's a fantastic holiday. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon. Goodbye.